jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
All right, Ayo Spaghetti-O. We got Shelly and John back. How are we all?
Not too bad.
Pretty good over here.
So we could not resist. We had to talk about goofy, cheesy superhero films and shows. They can be original, they can be based on a comic, they can be disowned by their studio, but they got on YouTube. And long story short, if you don't want to talk about those, you can also mention a cult thing that's just like, yeah, this is just a fun movie that I love with all my heart.
I got plenty of
Don't
those.
mention any porn parodies, promise. Plenty of those. We're gonna. So, Shelly, when did you get into just goofy movies that were just based on just some comic that you may or may not have read, and you're like, this is just too nutty. How do I describe this?
Oh man. I can't remember the exact age, but I was definitely a kid. Easily.
It's around the same time every other video game's becoming a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, pretty much.
John, when did you start noticing that people could fly, but they weren't Superman?
Probably also when I was a kid. Time.
Oh man. Oh. I think I just started realizing that there was good movies out there, and then there were bad movies out there that everybody wanted to hunt down a copy of, regardless of whether their Blockbuster had it out of stock at all times. I pretty much tried to hunt down. I'm so glad that I avoided Superman 3 and 4 for the longest time, because it was like, oh man, I would have pissed off everyone in my household had I brought that turkey home. But what's funny is I even started to troll some DC guys saying, hey, it's better than Batman versus Superman. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, well, at least it's not 3 hours long.
Very true.
Nuclear Man is hysterical.
Oh, he is.
I even saw someone do a mashup one time where they put Ryan Reynolds' face over it, and they're like, let's have a modern day.
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Jesus. Oh. So I'll mention a few of these and see if anyone's seen them. Oh, God. Did anyone ever bother with Tank Girl?
I did see Tank
remember.
Girl.
I was a teenager, and we had Comedy Central, and every time it'd be like, oh, they're going to play Tank Girl. I want to see Tank Girl. And then I always forget. But then I finally got to see Tank Girl, and I was like, that wasn't too bad, you know? Like,
it really isn't all that half bad. I mean, you're having Ice-T play like a giant dog / mercenary.
Yep.
And Lori Petty just seems to be having a lot of fun, you know, League of Her Own, Point
Yeah.
Break was awesome in the 90s, and now kind of does mild, brief supporting work. But it's like, this was just a wacky, fun. It doesn't overstay its welcome either. It's just like, it gets right to it.
No, it really doesn't.
yeah.
It's like, exposition, go somewhere else.
It's actually my favorite role of Lori Petty's, to be fair.
She's a badass. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What about, did anyone ever force themselves to watch the '94 Fantastic Four?
I have not had a
I
chance
did.
to see that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing until, what was it, Arrested Development?
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pull it out,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like, this exists.
I'm like,
Because it was
that's a thing?
that was the fun of it. It was a lost movie, and
Yeah.
It sure
I
was.
resaw it again years later because YouTube has it, and I really do not mind it. It's just silly, just goof, schlocky, total Roger Corman.
That's right. Of
But
course.
I find it so funny that out of all the movies he banned this one. I'm like, why did you ban this one?
Oh,
Out of
wow.
I thought you had no taste. So what does it matter?
Exactly.
I didn't see that, but I did see the 90s Captain America with Red Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yes!
Oh wait, no, those are the 70s. Ooh, even better. So are you thinking of the 1990 Captain America? With
Yeah, the 1990.
Matt Salinger of all
Oh, that's not.
people?
Oh, I thought that
Yeah.
was Town. Oh, my
Well,
bad.
he did a similar kind of acting thing. Just
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
groaning
yeah.
in rubber. But yeah, Rip Brown in the 70s. I
Oh,
once mentioned those.
70s one too? Oh, my
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're all.
Rev was in the 70s ones, and Christopher Lee was like an evil Nazi warlord in one of them.
Of course, Christopher Lee.
Man, always Christopher Lee. It is kind of wild how basically, the Tick 90s show was on at that point, and it's just so cool how it
Mhm.
that and the Flash 90s show were being acknowledged, even in the new canon, and it was just so wild how I think that's just kind of was the reference point for everybody. It's like everybody's got to be dressed in blue or red and just go with it, and it is just so hysterical how it just kind of just became a trend. And so when the Phantom came around, and he's you got Billy Zane dressed in pink and a evil Catherine Zeta-Jones and Treat Williams, I'm like, yeah, it all makes sense. Basically,
I was
everybody
going to mention that one, actually.
go for it. And I feel like the Rocketeer is like the more successful one, but like the Phantom just seems to just be just kind of more shameless and goofy, and just has a lot, like 5 times more villains. Like even Kerry Tagawa is there and gets blown up. So
Oh, yeah. You got Treat Williams clearly having fun playing his villain.
God,
I mean, I love it. I love it so much. I can't
jeez,
talk about that enough. Just how
Unleash
over the top he
cheese.
goes.
Yeah. Did you were any of you ever renting stuff from the dubbed Hong Kong section at your video store?
No, I didn't get that chance.
No, unfortunately.
Okay. So I saw the dubbed version of Black Mass, the Jet Li movie, and I actually
Oh, wow.
the uncut version is way better, but I didn't mind this one because it just redubbed it with a bunch of electronic, techno and rap music in the background. But they used to play parts of it on like Sci-Fi Channel and FX, and then just they stopped playing it. But he's kind of badass in that he's kind of flies around kind of like Batman, and then he just takes out the trash with he's kind of a mutant X-Men. He has all these supernatural fighting abilities, so that's how they work in the excuse to have a bunch of martial arts and everything. But it's just really a lot of fun, and the villain is often mocked because everyone makes fun of how he looks like Howard Stern on drugs. That's the
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that.
giant long hair, and he's got a giant futuristic machine gun, and the dubbing's even more hysterical because he lets out a "Rah!" just scream for no reason, and I'm like, that's awesome. It's really gritty and straightforward as opposed to lowbrow, but even people who want lowbrow entertainment are going to just really drink a beer into it. Oh, and God, the 90s, man. Did you guys ever watch crazy stuff that was like on the WB or UPN, like the Sentinel or Nightman?
No.
No, I never saw those.
Those were just so wild because it's like they were just their own thing, and it's like the Sentinel was weird because it's like he would basically have the special ability to like sense anything, and just the slow motion on it is just outrageous. Yeah, and the rest of the time,
just anything.
right? And they just have him be like a consultant with an LA police department, and the show was just like both goofy and kind of embrace the cheese because it just would say he must go find himself in the tropical jungles of South America.
That sounds amazing.
It really is amazing. It is just
Oh man.
a different kind of shit sandwich. There's one episode where they have to basically get rid of a bunch of terrorists and robbers who have taken over the police station, and they're dispatched by feeding them to an alligator. I am not making this shit up. And I remember just watching this because Sony's Get TV station was airing some reruns, and I had some family that walk in and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" I thought we were done watching this cheesy show, but yeah, it's kind of a weird mashup of X-Files, Lethal Weapon, and even Speed, and you'll know what I mean because it's like there's just so much, just weird, just driving around and just stopping a bunch of bad guys and bombers, and it really is just a one of a kind, just wacky show that is also a lot of fun and very well acted, considering its comic book superhero mentality to it. And that was around the same time there was that other crazy show on Sci-Fi Channel called Black Scorpion. I never saw it, but I was just like, wow, who isn't in this crazy Roger Corman produced show? Oh, so I still haven't seen Vampirella. John, tell us about Barbed Wire.
Oh boy.
That crazy kind of shitacular.
Oh yeah, especially Pam Anderson as your lead.
Jesus.
And yeah, that didn't help much with me, especially at that time. I was like, wow, you're making Anna Nicole Smith look decent at best.
Oh dear.
And yeah, it's an interesting one, especially with the cast they have. You got Xander Berkeley, Steve Railsback shows up, and oh my god, particularly the ending you see in that film, which I always laugh at every time with
Oh god. And that explosion
the
too.
explosion.
Like
It's
car. It was just like Jesus.
like
Oh.
wow.
And Django Fett before he's well known. Yeah, tomorrow.
I know. That's the sad part there.
Uh, are you by any chance either of you fans of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I saw
I can
it.
tolerate that.
It wasn't
Hmm.
awful. I mean,
It's pretty imperfect, but yeah, it's just like it's not unwatchable like I would hear so many people make out to be. And it's got a
Yeah.
pretty big cult following just because, you know, the Sean Connery factor. But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I saw it around the same time I was watching his James Bond movies and The Rock on TV all the time. So for me, it was kind of like a mixture. You know, it was by the director of Blade, who'd done some other B-movie work on Death Machine and Alien Free. And to me, it all kind of just came together as just like, okay, so again, it's just a regurgitation, like, of basically every other Connery movie. Like, it starts off, there's a weird spy and assassin who's killing people, and he tries to tell the guy, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And the guy poisons himself, and I'm like, and I guess you could say it's like the Monster Squad on acid, because I mean, yeah, you got all these
I could say that.
mythos, all the and Universal classic horror monsters all in one giant oyster. The Invisible Man and what's her name from La Femme Nikita was in there. I was just like, okay, interesting. And
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
it was kind of a, you know, everyone kind of got so distracted by Sean Connery and the director hating each other's guts on the set and him retiring, and the director decided to just go back to doing effects work. But it seemed like Fox didn't know how to market it. It's like they just wanted something else that, again, they could share the X-Men money with. But I mean, 03 was a big year because, I mean, again, you got these other blockbusters like Lord of the Rings and just all this other stuff coming out. So I was like, I think it was going to get lost in the shuffle one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad that's Carmen's last film right there.
And it's a shame that Ronald Moore never approves of anything based on his work, whether it's Watchmen or Constantine or V for Vendetta, which is very faithful, but he never saw it and he talks shit about it. But it's like, I tried reading the comic and I couldn't get into it. It just had all this other morbid shit like rape and gore, and I was just like, yeah, I think I'll go with this more lighthearted, fun movie.
Yeah.
Because at least it's more like The Rocketeer, where you're just seeing all this stuff, and One of the criticized moments of it was having Shane West as Tom Sawyer, not because of his acting or because of just the character, but just they wanted something that could kind of represent the Americans mixing in with all these other Victorian era people. And I thought that was inspired, at least from a cinematic standpoint. And everyone else was like, oh, but he's not in the comic. And I'm like, well, you're going to have to make some compromise. This movie at least looks, sounds, and feels good, as opposed to seeming like just a total cluster and no one really knows what to make of it. It's not the
like a blatant cash grab they would do nowadays.
Oh. So then, what's the other one? It's just so wacky. Then there was that Lewis and Clark 90s show.
What with Dean Cain?
Dean Cain and Jerry. Yep. Yeah, it's like that
wasn't too bad. But then again, I was a kid when I saw it, so it's like, wow, this is great. And then you watch it when you're older, it's like, wow.
It seems like everybody has forgotten about it. Like ABC Family kind of stopped playing it after like 2004, and I was like, seriously? I thought they were all into anything.
Yeah.
There was some weird people who got their start on that show too. I was like, what? Okay. Tracy Scoggins from Babylon 5 was on this? Okay. But we got to talk about Still with Shaquille O'Neal.
Of course, I knew who would bring that up.
I saw this one time while I was pet sitting, and it was on HBO at 3 a.m. I'm like, this is comedy gold.
It is.
It's like, this movie should not exist. But man, Shaquille O'Neal could have been an action star, and he just never got offered anything after this.
Nope.
Oh, so same year as Batman and Robin. Which one is sillier?
I'd say Batman and Robin, honestly. Especially all the stuff that happens in that one.
Because, I mean, yeah, you got Mr. Freeze played by Schwarzenegger, and Vivica A. Fox, and Uma Thurman, of all people. Thurman. Yeah. And it was like, instead with Steel, it was basically just Shaq doing... With Shaft as his dad. I see what they did there.
Yes.
And then Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson is the villain. Who was the highlight of the movie, in my opinion?
What I like even more is Charles Napier from Murdoch from Rambo 2 and those Austin Powers movies. And there he is, just being the typical just angry general. And he just seems to have the most WTF look on his face. And you don't know if it's just part of the character or part of his look when he gets an angry phone call from Shaq.
Probably a bit.
I'm gonna tell you all, you gotta go kiss my ass. You ain't gonna do anything about it. It's like, oh my god. Shaquille O'Neal should win. Did he win a Razzie for this?
Probably. I think he was nominated. I don't think he won.
Oh boy.
I think Kevin Costner won.
Yeah, for The Postman.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. 97, baby.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many superhero films I have never even heard of them. Just like, wow.
Did you ever bother with any of the Punisher movies?
No.
It's like Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV, Thomas Jane from Deep Blue Sea, and now this one random guy who no one's heard of from Rome, Ray Stevenson. It comes out the same year as The Dark Knight, and basically they got Jigsaw, who was always the equivalent of the Joker, and is like, he's trying to do, basically Dominic West from The Wire and The Hour is trying to do an even crazier version of Heath Ledger's Joker. I'm like, this is wild.
And I love it. Every second of it.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest.
His origin story isn't being dumped into acid or anything. It's being sliced up with a bunch of glass. Like, oh man,
so weird, but I love it.
Gotta love it. Jonah Hex. Anyone ever bothered with that crazy?
Oh, I saw that in the theater actually.
So basically, James Brolin and Megan Fox and John Malkovich. Wow. Yeah.
And Michael Fassbender shows up also.
Oh yeah, and he gets burned alive or some shit, and
And we're all net. Speaking of,
By the director of
Film.
Crank.
well, I think they produced it and directed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They brought someone in from like John Carter or Toy Story 3 or something to.
Kind of like that, yeah.
It was watchable, but I don't know. I still don't know what to make of it. It's just a very goofy
Yeah.
movie.
I mean,
Ugh.
it's mostly a great cast, but like, I mean, excluding Megan Fox, but that's a different story.
We've talked enough about the Hellboy movies and Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah.
What is the overall nature of the Snyder Cut or the Whedon Cut of Justice League? Will anyone ever agree on this damn movie?
I have no idea. I still have yet to watch any version of it. But to be fair, I'm more of a Marvel girl.
Oh snap! Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. I think the new cut is way better, but it should have just been a mini series from the get-go.
That's why I said
Yeah.
It's like,
about that.
and why did this have to get so chaotic? Because it's like, yeah, it's like the 2017 one was okay, but it suffered from just having unfinished effects, and you didn't care about anyone. It's like this one is long, but it totally restructures and re-edits and even reanimates certain people, and it's just like it's just plays way better. And I'm like, had they released this could have easily been their. If they could have just minimized it to 3 hours, it could have been a fun Lord of the Rings epic, but they didn't do that.
I was trying to do like a mini series, like in 4 parts, like they were originally going to do.
Well, there you go. Oh, and I had no idea, speaking of DC, that the Red movies were actually based on a comic that was a division of DC.
That's true.
Kind of, and the creator was kind of like the one who did the movie Wanted, where he was just fine with them changing it up, since the characters in that were technically villains who had Tarantino-esque humor, and so it's like they retained that again. Ocean's 11 Tarantino style.
Okay,
Mhm.
now I know him. Oh, with like a bunch of like the older, I guess, action heroes, not Expendables, but like
Yeah, same
Yeah.
year. It came out
More
before,
like-
but yeah.
more like, I guess, kind of spy-ish.
Right,
action
spy
Yeah.
assassins set up.
Assassins.
Yeah, like that.
Had Morgan Freeman, Helen Mirren, and Mary Louise Parker, and it
And
was
John
just so
Malkovich.
right. And it's just so wild how just all the other colorful people they get in there is like
Oh,
Richard Dreyfuss is like a crooked senator. Anthony Hopkins is a crazy terrorist in the second one. So yeah,
wow.
Oh yeah.
Brian Cox is there as like this guy who's like a secret like retired spy turned driver, and he's like has a thing for Helen Mirren. He's like, hey,
Yep.
I'll give you a free ride.
Yep.
Wait, Ernest Borgnine was in that?
Yeah,
the
it's
first
like
movie.
the final movie he was in, and
Wow.
he's very nutty.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
It made sense for me when they were doing like a tribute to him, and Morgan Freeman showed up to hand it to him because they had just finished doing that movie together. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
I
that
think
was a lot of
if you
fun.
haven't seen them, I think you'll definitely dig them because this is like, and they're impossible to not find. They're like always playing on loop on TNT every weekend. So
Particularly
But-
Malkovich, but he's a lot of fun in his role.
yeah, Bruce was having fun. Malkovich was definitely the highlight, and Louise was really funny, and Mirren is even funnier because it's like she's just always talking to them on the phone while she's covering up a bunch of bodies or
Yep.
pouring nitrogen on them. I'm like, oh my god. It's like at one point she's talking to him, but the bodies are on fire. Like, Jesus, this is PG-13. Oh well. The sequel was done by like the director of Galaxy Quest, so that made sense to
Yep.
me. I was like, yeah, this is just a whole bunch of very nutty people.
okay, but that sounds like a good endorsement, at least to me.
Oh, totally. Like,
To
Oh yeah.
to watch it.
I was actually also surprised at how well it did with both critics and audiences, and I was like, really? Okay, for once.
Yeah. For once, critics weren't snobbish with this.
And audiences knew what to expect. They weren't complaining about it being too over the top or violent or rude. It really isn't even all that rude. It's just silly.
That's all it was. It was silly. I wish you did a
Oh.
third one, but that probably never happened at this point.
They definitely have waited way too long.
Yeah,
And
they
it's weird
did.
because I think they both did good at the box office, so I don't know what the problem was.
Probably Bruce Willis, but you know.
Oh. Well, what about these shows? Who would have guessed that, again, Marvel and DC would still be doing TV shows?
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I guess I'll talk about Lucifer. It just finished up. It really is a lot of fun, but it's kind of too good for its own thing because it's Neil Gaiman, of American Gods and
Oh yeah.
Good
Oh,
Omens.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
And I mean, it even keeps itself separate from all the other DC shows, except from when they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths team up.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's just how totally different path that it's going for. I mean, it was kind of too cute for its own good in season 1, where it was just basically the billionth Men in Black Hellboy type show, but then they decided, okay, let's be even goofier. Let's have some other wacky stuff. Someone hosts a party and it all literally goes to hell. Keep getting nuttier and nuttier. And I can't believe it's already wrapped up after all these years. But once it went to Netflix, it's like, yeah, they had way more freedom to do
Oh,
what they
well,
want.
that's good at least, because that's on my to watch list.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I've got a
You'll
lot
definitely
on
dig
that
the
list.
soundtrack. Ugh. If anyone's got any other wacky one,
What about Mystery Men?
that's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
point.
That's
It's
a good
like
point.
it's a 99 was a big year for a bunch of people coming out with cult comedies and
Oh,
spoofs.
it
And
was. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
it seems like half the time I'll see someone just talking about like a superhero movie, and some people will just say that like that's in their top 10 because they were a fan of the Dark Horse comic book, and
Yeah.
it does make you wonder, well, was it a hit or did it just catch on later?
It catch
I
on
think-
later.
I think-
It bombed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It's one of those cult classics that was not successful at first, but then out on VHS and DVD. Hey, have you seen this? Yeah, it's
It
great.
came out at the right time to be embraced that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, what a cast.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo, Pee Wee Herman. Yeah, like, yeah. That is wild.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was when I grew up watching as a kid.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just remember
It
mentioning
played
Gruffalo
endlessly
as the
on
bowler.
USA Network. Yeah.
That was the one character I've always loved was the bowler. It was just that
Yes.
effect I love so
Yes.
much.
Love that. She talked
Man,
to her dad.
it's like,
and
that's her
told him, well,
dad.
yes, okay, fine.
Man. In Champion City.
Yep.
I am long overdue. I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, like Greg Kinnear is like the hero of the city. And
Right. They're all taking
the-
credit for each other's doings.
Oh yeah. But Jeffrey Rush, I mean, oh my God.
Oh my God, that's
That's-
right. He was the bad guy, wasn't
He's
he?
a villain, yep.
Before everyone knew he was an
Oh.
asshole. Yep.
That was just perfect. Like I even prefer that over his Barbosa role, to be honest.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I'm gonna have to rewatch this. Yeah.
Right?
it's sad because it's that director. This is the only film he ever did. That's because of just the production problems he had at the time.
Oh, really?
Studio. Oh yeah. Apparently they were just forcing him to do everything but what he wanted to do at the time. And it's sad to hear because I could tell he at least had some type of style at the time, but they just didn't give him the creative freedom that he wanted. Which is why he went to commercials. That's what he was known for, was commercials.
Yeah.
So
That is wild. And they had a bunch of special features on that DVD, which is so unusual, for anything that it
Oh,
flopped.
yeah.
Typically, they would not give it any special features, but someone must have been doing some serious talking, just saying, hey, you gotta, for this, it deserves it. Oh, that's right. Kelly
it does.
Mitchell from
yep,
Good Burger was in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
There you go.
yep, that's was much better than Good Burger. I'd say that right now.
There's a lot of people who just give this a 2 out of 4 star rating. They just can't get behind it for some reason.
Aw.
And it's just wild because it's like you would think this would have had at least a Austin Powers type crowd.
Right?
You would think, but no, it just didn't catch on with everybody. Especially, so I believe it came out in the summer, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
I think it was right around the time. Was it done the Mummy, or was that after the Mummy? I forgot.
Let me look.
Oh man.
It came out in.
It's-
Okay, you look up Mummy. I'll look up Mystery Man.
yeah, that's what I'll do right now.
All right. So
Sure.
Mystery Man came out in July 22nd, and 99.
Let's see. So I believe, was that? No, May 7th. Okay.
So there you
That was
go.
the Mummy.
It was yeah, the Mummy probably took up business, even though it
Yeah, it
wasn't
probably did.
necessarily liked by every critic. It was acknowledged for what it was trying to be, and I don't know, Mystery Man. You look at the trailer and it's like, what did anyone expect? I expected kind of something like The Mask or just some other kind of goofy John Hughes type comedy, and it did not eat up those numbers for some reason.
No, I didn't.
Speaking of which, it seems like The Mask is often kind of forgotten about, except for the fact that it stars Cam Diaz and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is that? I
I don't
haven't
know.
seen it in years, but I have no problems with it whatsoever from what my recollection.
I don't
of it.
either.
I recall it being just very fast paced and just consistently goofy, as opposed to too dark or too rude or too gross, you know?
Yeah, I just figured it was a vehicle for Jim Carrey to do his stuff, you know?
There you go.
And it worked because it was a great balance between his physical comedy and showcasing he can act a little bit compared to his other comedies that year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he learned very fast is like, I don't need Judd Apatow and all these other idiots. I need to just do my own
Thank
thing.
God.
And another one that gets shat on that is slowly kind of being reanalyzed a bit, but yet still kind of often, it's either sarcastically called Men in Black 4 or just called just Green Lantern 2 for those who don't like it, is Ripped.
Oh, R.I.P.D.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P.D. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
You
not
know-
a fan of that one.
You know, that is yet another movie where it's like, this looks interesting, but I'll probably never get a chance to see it.
What's wild is everyone was looking at certain things about it being pushed around, and I saw people like predicting that it was gonna flop, and I was like, that is so wild, because it seems like the trailers are winning over people, but yet no one wants to see it, and yet no one saw it. So and then
Yeah.
it got decimated by critics. That was also by the director of Red, and yet I don't know. I am very mixed about it because yes, the main plot twist with who the bad guy is, you know, from like it's revealed in like the first 10 minutes, but you
10
already
minutes,
know
yep.
it before it happens. So it's just like, what? But I really don't know what to feel about it. I find it very watchable. It's just, I guess it's just been done to death, and yet I guess
That's the
Jeff
problem
Bridges
with
was the
that.
best part about it. And I've seen so many other character actors who are in it who are now doing even bigger stuff, like Stephanie Sostakak, I think.
I think it's how you say her name.
Stock, who has been in movies like Iron Man 3 and is now on the show and doing little things. So it's like, there's definitely a lot of people who got their start in this movie, as well as who have bit parts in it. I don't know. Maybe I could blame co-producer Neil H. Moritz for making every other visual effects shot look like it belongs in a Fast and Furious movie. So I don't know. I think it was too many.
Yeah,
cooks in the
that was
kitchen.
another problem. Was the CG at times.
Oh boy.
And
And
especially
yet,
seeing that on the big screen, that was
I-
not fun.
I mean, I think, did Sony produce that, or was that Universal?
I believe that was Sony. Yeah.
So there you go. Then there was talk, oh, let's cross over with Men in Black. I'm like, let's not. Men in
No,
Black on
no.
its own. Well, hell, I'll even mention Men in Black International. I was really surprised by this one. I did not know what to think of it. It flopped instantly, and wasn't too crazy about the Thor guy, but I was like, yeah, this is kind of a lot of fun, but it was not going to make in-game money. And how stupid of the studio to have it come out that same month. I mean, come on. It was like, here we're looking forward to the parts 3 and 4 of the Avengers, and you're having Men in Black 4, and everyone's already kind of exhausted after the last two weren't as big. And I don't know, I kind of like the separate way it went with it. It kind of reminded me more of the cartoon show. And Tessa Thompson was really having a lot of fun and really witty. But I know you weren't crazy about this one, John.
And it's not really because of the two leads, because I thought they clearly had chemistry. It was just the material they were given. That was my problem with it.
My issue was I predicted instantly who was the bad Men in Black. And
Oh, definitely.
I've just seen too many movies, so it's just... My only issue with it was the rap club that they go to. I was just like, that was 10 minutes you could have easily excised. Nothing funny happened in it. It was just to show the world, but we already know how the world acts in this. Really, for me, the highlight was seeing Emma Thompson come back as their boss, and it was like, okay, she's having...
I'll give you that, yeah.
She's having so much fun in this role.
I did think they wasted from Rebecca Ferguson in a nothing role, which...
Yeah, that seems to be her trend, is like, she's such a good actress, and no one gives her any good roles, and it's like...
They don't.
Oh, people.
Which is frustrating.
Is her agent Leroy Jenkins?
Must be at this point. It's like,
hell, Leroy.
Come on, man. Give us some good work. Come on now.
But even just going back to this for a bit, so I wonder with R.I.P.D. if Ryan Reynolds wasn't in that, would he have not had a chance to be in all the other movies like Hitman's Bodyguard and Deadpool?
I don't know.
Because it seems like everybody has to do a movie that's lesser or...
Yeah, but didn't he also do Green Lantern? That was...
You're right. It was like...
Yeah.
He kind of had at least two then.
So there you go. It's like, he was another guy. It's like, everyone finds him either funny or decent, but no one knows how to use him. So it's just like... It was kind of just that deal where it's just like, here he is, and how do you use him? And it's just been so wild seeing him go on these drunken rants about seeing Green Lantern for the first time since it came out on Twitter. So it's like, yeah.
Despite how bad I've heard it is, I still kind of want to see it.
You should totally see it. It is a cluster of epic proportions.
Oh, definitely.
Oh my god, it's so bad to where like the director was locked out and he just he has disowned it. John, you got to see part of his Reddit. Martin Campbell is best known for doing the James Bond movies GoldenEye and Casino Royale. It's like they said release the Campbell cut, and he's like, not a chance.
He said over my dead body. That's what he said to a user.
He had
he refuses to talk about that movie.
He just does not consider it his movie. And he's rebounded quickly by doing all these other revenge movies.
Oh, definitely. Especially the latest one, which I've told you about.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Protege with Maggie.
Protege.
Well, so I'm a bastard. I can't help it. I really like all the Ninja Turtle movies. I just think they're just stupid fun.
Yeah.
And just take them as just that, because what else would you expect from Ninja Turtles? If you read the comic books, yes, they get very bloody. They're basically Campy, Deadpool, Punisher, but it's like, I don't think that's gonna happen. They're gonna stay with what everyone knows the cartoon as, which is just goofy, slightly PG-13.
Yeah.
With some partial innuendo, but not enough to be just gross and not kid-friendly somewhat. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I have been so tempted to see the UK versions of those. They have to be absolutely unwatchable if they're cutting out every use of nunchucks.
Wow.
Jesus. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, because it's like their youth violence is really bad there, so it's like they had to cut out any use of Donatello and Raphael's weapons.
Wow.
Jeez. So it's like you see, and it's like even cutting out close-ups of him. I'm like, I can't even imagine what you miss.
That's just sad to hear, to be honest.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I know they're doing a new version of it, and I guess they're now owned by DC because the Ninja, or maybe they're just licensed by Wolf or whatever company owns it. Because
Well, there's two of them they're doing now.
Wait, really?
There's a cartoon one with Seth Rogen, I believe, and there's the third movie, which has, speaking of SNL, Colin Jost, his brother is writing the third one of the Megan Fox trilogy. So
okay, so there you go. That makes sense to me. It can be just like current DC. It can be its different iterations of everything, and everyone can pick and choose which version of it they like and which one they don't. But it is kind of interesting how, it's like there was a recent, there's a bunch of those DC fighting games, and they had the Ninja Turtles to where it's like, I think you could play as them, but they also appeared in a cinematic, like fighting alongside Batman. I was like, why is this universe just now crossed over? Why didn't they cross over years ago? Oh,
because they weren't thinking.
There was a cheesy live action one back in the 90s, which for the longest time you couldn't even get the whole series. You could only get like a compilation of various episodes edited together, and sometimes they would even put that episode as like Ninja Turtles 4. I'm like, it's not Ninja Turtles 4. It's an episode.
What was it? The Next Mutation?
Some shit like that, yeah. And it's like they crossed over with Power Rangers or some crazy stuff.
Oh,
and,
Jesus.
And it's like you could tell they would film
my God,
because they were not seeing eye to eye with how each other wanted to film it. But it was the same kind of deal. It was like, oh yeah, get on up and let's beat each other up. And I'm like, this is so weird. It's similar formula, but I mean, come on, Power Rangers is a different kind of camp.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they also added a female member to the group.
Yeah, there was that. It was progressive. Don't
there's that at least.
It was
okay.
And I forgot what they called her. It's like
Venus
de
Milo.
That's what it was. It's like Milo, and it's like when any scene that doesn't have April O'Neil, she's in there and she's kicking ass. And it's like, why was there not a female turtle to begin with? That it would have been so much more awesome. I don't remember what her persona was like. It was kind of like
I have no clue.
It was kind of like, I want to say Donatello. She was kind of peaceful and always giving Raphael grief, from what clips I remember seeing.
Okay.
Oh man.
My first hearing about that.
You didn't know? Okay.
Nope, I did not.
Oh, good. So, John, tell us about Robocop sequels. How goofy those shitfests are.
Well, especially the third movie was where they really went to camp
There was
level.
like, part 2, let's have a giant Robocop who he has to fight. And part 3, let's have him have a jetpack.
Yeah, jetpack.
And then let's have Frank Miller write this. All his stuff is basically X-rated, so we got to rewrite all his scripts. We shouldn't have hired him to begin with.
And make it more kid-friendly.
Yeah. Even though this was a satire, but everyone else thought, oh, RoboCop, it's a mindless action movie. It's like, it's not supposed to be an action movie. It's a corporation cyberpunk comic book. That's not based on a comic.
And then the second movie, which is very dark, a little too dark.
Really too dark. It's got a cursing kid as the secondary villain.
Which is aggravating.
Really annoying. What's funny is I didn't ever catch that because I saw it on TV, so I know that stuff is edited out.
I saw it on DVD, so I was able to see all that for the first time. I'm like, what the hell? This is lazy.
Annoying. Oh. And then he dies.
Like, just kill him already.
Are we supposed to feel sad for him?
Yeah. I didn't buy that for a second.
Irvin Kershner of Empire Strikes Back, everybody.
I know.
Never made another movie after that. He hated the process so much. Well, I'm a bastard. I actually like the RoboCop rehash because it just kind of tried to do its own thing, like just be a tribute, and it kind of reminded me of Dredd, like the 2012 movie. Did either of you see that?
I saw Dredd. Yeah, I saw it in the theater.
It seems like Dredd, they've been trying to do like either Carl Urban wants to do like a Netflix follow-up or a follow-up movie, and despite making their money back finally on DVD and streaming sales, just no one wants to make it. And it's like both that and RoboCop 2 is like, even the new RoboCop, they wanted to do like a sequel to it, but now it's like they're just gonna try and do a direct sequel to the Peter Weller original and just ignore parts 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So I guess
They're
everybody
trying
is
to.
going the way of Halloween Kills. They're just like, just
Oh yeah.
don't, everyone has a fan, but we only acknowledge like the first 3 movies of the original saga.
I mean, I'm not sure how the new Scream will be, but that's seems
It's
like they're
like,
trying to go.
that must be the new trend, and that's kind of what they're gonna do with like this new upcoming Hellraiser show, and it's like, but it's like they're kind of doing that also with, I mean, for a while everybody was trying to look like the Dark Knight or the first Avengers movie, so it's like, where are they going from here? And where is anybody gonna try and actually do a fun campy movie that you can actually take your kid to see that's not 3 hours long or too violent?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sad part there.
It really is sad. If anyone else has any other just things they just vaguely recall seeing,
I was trying to think of some.
man,
Mystery Men was good. I didn't even think about that. I should have.
that was a good catch,
fine.
Shelly. Yeah. I know that one kind of inspired a bunch of other ones kind of around that same time. Like there was the Specials with Rob Lowe that was kind of like that. It was just
I forgot about that.
D-list superheroes.
Yep.
Seems like, I don't know, how would you make something campy nowadays? Because it seems like now everyone's trying to be like Deadpool or The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, those are R-rated camp.
Yeah.
Make it a little more PG-13-ish, where it's, there's something for both kids and definitely a lot of things for the adults that, those are the fun parts, jokes that went over the kids' heads.
Oh yeah. I can't think of anything else. I think I've mentioned all the ones I mentioned.
Seems like if they're gonna do anything else from this point on, it's gotta be basically filmed with Joker money, where it's gotta be just filmed for $2 million or something like that, where it's just very super low budget. Everyone takes a pay cut, and
That'd be fun if they try and do that, but
I couldn't get into Joker, but I like the whole
I couldn't
strategy
either.
behind it. Get a A-list actor and then get a person who does comedies, do a dark, gritty movie, and then it seems like that's the formula now. Get someone who is popular for a totally different genre and get them to do something you least expect them to do. That's the new marketing ploy.
Wow.
I've heard good things about Preacher, speaking of Seth Rogen, but I haven't seen it yet. But
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've heard about that though.
it seems like that's the whole thing now, is like get actors who are just known for different kinds of things, whether it's a bad video game movie or a sitcom, and just have them do a role you don't even expect them to make.
Yeah, that's what it seems like nowadays.
Oh, let me look real fast. What's this based on? A comic. I could have sworn it was based on a comic, but I am mistaken. Yeah, Into the Badlands. I could not get into that show to save my life, but it was written by people who are known for doing comic book like stuff, like Gog and Miller, who you might know from shows like Smallville or even Martial Law.
Oh yeah.
A mighty warrior and a young boy search for enlightenment in a ruthless territory controlled by feudal barons. Yeah, I tried, but I could not get into this show.
I've always heard about it, I've never seen it.
Everyone loved it because it was like post-apocalyptic, had an unusual cast, and I was just like, yeah, this is just losing me. Oh, wasn't Wu Assassins inspired by a comic?
Was it?
I don't know.
It did.
I'm asking you.
I'm not sure. If it was, then flew over my head.
Well,
Did-
Shelly and
Did you
John.
guys ever watch
Sorry.
Blade?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We actually did an episode
Right.
on it.
Oh.
Do you think they're gonna Mahershala Ali is going to be playing the son of Blade? And they're gonna be having Snipes make a cameo? That's
That
kind
would
of
be
the
cool.
I'm not sure they'll go
That
that
would be
route,
cool.
honestly.
because they've kind of acknowledged it now to where with some of the other alternate stuff shows they're doing, they're just claiming now is like they're trying to revitalize it and change it up to where they are all actually part of the same universe so that they don't ruffle any more feathers. But I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. But yeah, no, I am looking forward to Mahershala Ali's Blade. I think that will definitely. I like that he's sharing the universe with Doctor Strange because it's like they're very similar.
I mean, I called it when I saw him in League of Battle Angel. I called him being Blade, before it was
Based on a
announced. So
manga.
I was good.
Yeah. It takes
like,
a manga
hey,
to
me.
become a comic book icon.
Like, pay me, guys. I called it beforehand. So
Paid
there you
me.
go.
What would you guys like to see them do an adaptation of? But what just keeps getting stuck in development hell, or it just would take a very special, atypical kind of filmmaker to conjure up?
Oh,
It seems
what's
like,
that
yeah,
fucking name?
you can. It seems like Adult Swim is like as close as you get if you want to do something that's just its own special kind of cult show, whether it's Pee Wee's Playhouse or Mystery Science Theater. Is like Adult Swim has all kinds of just wacky stuff that I never would have thought would have ever gotten put on the air. And then it seems like there's other channels that are slowly experimenting again, and then they just get canceled or they don't make use of their time, and or just as they get good, they get canceled. So I think
I know one film I'm curious to see if they. I know they've been trying to do it. Michael Bay was attached at one point, which made me curious. Like Lobo. I know he was willing to do Lobo for DC Comics,
Lobo. Okay.
Oh yeah.
and I would have been curious to see that, just to see him do a comic book film at least.
One that
So he would have approached that.
the only thing that comes to mind is, you remember in the 90s when DC and Marvel joined for a little bit?
I would
They
love
had
to see him do
the
a versus
Amalgam
movie.
comics.
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
they could, and it seems like I don't know. It seems like some of the DC shows are underappreciated. Like Heroes of Legends of Tomorrow is kind of like the Victor, and yet it's just not talked about as much as all the other DC shows. And people were really digging the Netflix Marvel ones, but by that point Kevin Feige wanted control back, so he didn't want to deal with that chapter anymore. So it does seem like they could easily do a DC versus Marvel thing, but just again, Warner Brothers and Disney do not want to share each other's money.
They
So
really don't.
They don't.
and
But if they did that, they could both get so much, couldn't they?
They really could. I mean, I was waiting for. They could technically do Star Trek versus Star Wars. I mean, Paramount and Disney share money all the time. So
Yeah.
is like that. It just, these are the equivalent of working at a certain company, and you just see two coworkers who deny that they don't get along, but it reads on their faces. It's like, who are they kidding? And it seems like, I don't know, it seems like you're seeing a bunch of TV channels take a bunch of, and even Amazon take a chance on life, do little small regurgitations of stuff that's been in the works for years. Janine Tartowski is doing a few things for cartoons and everything. So, I mean, did you guys see any of Winona Earp?
No.
Oh, I didn't see any of that.
Basically, it's a Western with vampires.
Nice.
Really?
And just other wacky
That
stuff.
sounds kind of difficult to do, because you think of the West and you think it's sunny, dry.
I watched.
Not
I think
much.
it's now in like season 4 or some shit like that. Yeah, it's like it was on for a while, and it kind of caught on Netflix, and I had been watching like season 1.5 for a while, and then I just couldn't keep up with it. But I was like, this is pleasant. This is laid back. Even the opening titles already kind of just you know what to expect. It's just light camp, and main gal Melanie Scrofano was a badass. It seemed like a lot of people liked it. So I don't know. And then there was always this weird agent who came to town in a modern day version of Doc Holliday. Like, yeah, this is goofy. I like it.
I'll have to check it out then.
Dark Matter was really good too, and they canceled that prematurely, so we'll never know what. So if anyone's gonna watch it, watch all of it and then cut out after the last 10 minutes. Because that was pretty cool, just seeing a bunch of mercs in space, and it kind of begins like Memento, where they all have amnesia and they don't know who they are, and so then they just give each other. The viewer is able to follow it all very carefully because it is kind of similar to Aliens and Star Trek and even Star Wars, just having just again this nobody has any clue who they are, and this human cyborg wakes them up, and android technically, but and then we're not expected to remember their names right away, but we know who their names are because the order in which they all woke up is the number they're given. So one of them's named 1, the other's 6. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those. It was by some of the Stargate writers, and it was just so much fun just watching that back and forth with other stuff that was on around that same time. And it's just, again, it's just Universal just keeps shooting itself in the foot by not wanting to have these shows go on all that long. I'm like, well, you're killing whatever momentum you got going.
Yeah. Reminds me of sci-fi, like Sci-Fi Channel, and I want to say WB, but there are all these different, sci-fi and fantasy shows, late 90s, early aughts, that were just amazing. And what was it? It was, I think there was Warehouse 13.
There you go. Yeah. Everything was very campy one night, serious the other.
Something else. There's something else like
Eureka?
No, something else but Eureka, yeah. What's that other one? It was...
Defiance?
No. Oh, that's going to bug me the rest of the night.
This was way after Stargate and Battlestar Galactica, so it's going to be one of those other goofy shows.
It's gotta be.
Is it any of those zombie knockoff shows they've been doing?
No. It was zombies. It had, what was it? It was like there were two, were they reporters or were they agents? And there was like this pig guy.
Oh, it's just one of those other X-Files kind of shows.
Kind of.
Let me look it up.
Like it was in the similar vein as Warehouse 13.
Okay. I will look it up now. Shows similar to Warehouse 13. Oh, was it Haven?
I don't think.
Stephen King's Haven. That was hysterical. One is like they go into town and it's raining dead birds. Alphas was pretty cool. That was by one of the X-Men writers. That was an original concept, and they canceled that prematurely. Was it Sanctuary?
No.
Was it Fringe?
No. I think it...
4400.
No, I think it started with an S, but I could be wrong.
It had a pig. Dresden Files?
No.
That was very underrated. I should mention that.
The book series is way better, but...
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Basically, with that one, they just wanted something that wasn't the Dead Zone that was on. Painkiller Jane was kind of fun.
Totally. Yeah, I heard that's fun. I haven't seen that, though.
What is it? That has a pig? Was that just one episode, or was that
No,
most-
no, like he stayed there and he was like I guess the guy looked up stuff for them and they went out and found stuff. Oh
Hmm.
God.
any actor who was in it?
Oh God, I have no clue. I wish. I wish I knew.
Sleepy Hollow?
No.
Oh wait, I think I know. The Magicians.
No.
No.
No? Hmm.
I think that was based on a comic though. Ah, shit. What could it be? Supernatural show. Pig.
That's kind of what I've been typing.
There's definitely a pig in an episode of Supernatural, but it's not Supernatural.
No, it's not Supernatural.
Oh, Grimm. It's got to be Grimm. Because I think someone does turn into a pig in one episode as a recurring thing. No? Maybe? Not sure.
No, like he was okay.
Is
I
it
don't know why,
older
but
or more recent?
it's I know it's older. Like it was
Okay, shit.
yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel for real?
Was it sci-fi? I don't know. Like I said, it was either sci-fi or what was it? WB or
It's live action.
yeah, it was live action. I know that.
Was it kind of more horror or fantasy?
All I know is it was bizarre and funny, and it was
Oh, was it
canceled too
Reaper?
soon. What's that?
Maybe it was Reaper.
No.
Rise Devil? No. Isn't
No.
that camp?
Had they okay? Have you ever heard of Weekly World News?
Oh, I think I did.
Yes.
That's the weird kind of.
Yeah, that was the
Is
kind
it-
of.
Is it called The Chronicle?
That might be the one.
I don't know.
I think it
It
is the
said
Chronicle with Joe.
Possible.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They said that has Sal the Pig Boy. That's what they said.
Ah, there you go. John found it.
Is that it?
Ooh.
I just read about that. It had John Polito and Reno Wilson.
Mhm.
Yeah. You can find some episodes on YouTube. Octavia Spencer is on it before she.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That might have to be it. Yeah.
That might have to be.
Especially if he turns into a pig. That's gotta be the one.
That's gotta be the one.
Yes, that's it.
That's it.
So that was based on a comic, or at least was similar to a comic. Nice.
Oh, that was Curtis Armstrong. Okay.
Oh, okay. No, it was on Sci-Fi.
Nice. They needed something else that was weird than Sliders or the other shows they were rerunning. So
Good thing I found that.
nice sketch.
Thank you. Thank you. That
Welcome.
was gonna bug me all night.
You're gonna made everyone frustrated. What are they talking about?
Sorry, folks, we had to look that up.
Had to.
Hmm.
Well, I think we've just about wrapped it up. It seems like comics can happen, but you just gotta find someone who's just willing to let them be weird.
Let them experiment.
Yeah.
That's why I say.
For sure.
I wish they would.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyone else who has anything to promote or talk about, let me know. No?
Like I said, I'm just writing my reviews for Death Machine for the movie Elite, so be on the lookout for that.
You got it. And Thank you all for being on here. It's just too much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history doll
up.
popping up
Absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
could
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. Whether one last plot holes or gratuitous movies, it's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy.
At eilfm.podbean.com.
Welcome to Who Was She podcast. I am your host, Tara Jabari. After a decade working in documentaries, marketing, and all things digital media, I found that podcasting is a strong medium to share stories. After years of producing for others, I decided to start my own biographical podcast. Who Was She will focus on the life of a woman throughout Baha'i history. The first season is about Lydia Zemenov. Lydia's story explores the subjects of the power of language and faith. Her father invented the universal language Esperanto, and she came from a Jewish family and became a Baha'i. She grew up during World War I and was killed during World War II in a concentration camp, despite heroic efforts to save her life. How can one person's life intersect with so many others? connect across borders, and inspire a biography, which inspired this podcast. Over the next few weeks, I will share her story with you and the lives that were most affected by her and those who affected her life as well. They include her father, Lydia Zemenov, her spiritual mother, American journalist Martha Root, and the Baha'i German soldier Fritz Mako, who worked for the resistance undercover while having to serve the Nazi Party. I want to thank the author Wendy Heller and George Ronald Publishing for their blessing to let me use Heller's biography, Lydia, The Life of Lydia Zemenov, Daughter of Esperanto, as a main and instrumental resource for this podcast. So please subscribe and learn about this amazing woman who traveled through 3 continents in an effort to bring unity through the power of language. You can also find more information on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Who Was She Podcast. Music was composed and performed by Sam Red. I am your host, Tara Jabari. Join us next time as we begin our journey about Lydia Zemenov.
Are you sick of the same old stale podcasts? Well, then join Vanessa and Darren as they dissect movies of all kinds. The 2 lifelong cinema lovers bring their favorites, curiosities, and first-time watches to the operating table and inject them with a healthy dose of snark. Then there's the waiting room, where they examine books and short stories. So just look for them on Apple Podcasts and where fine podcasts are available. They're part of the Legion Podcast Network. Follow them on Twitter at VDClinicPod. Join them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/VDClinicPod. Or email them at vdclinicpod@gmail.com. They're ready to cure what ails you. And still, they just might be a little contagious.
Hi there. It's Heather from the Watching Netflix Without You podcast. Did you know that there are over 1,200 Netflix original feature films and documentaries? And that number is only growing. So I've made it my mission to watch as many as I possibly can. Then, with a delightful guest or guests, disclaimer, more often than not my brother Ryan, we spend an episode rating, reviewing, and discussing a film at length. The first half of every episode is spoiler-free for those who haven't seen it yet, and in the second half, after a very clear spoiler warning, we dive into it. And that's really about it. You can listen to Watching Netflix Without You on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.